28th here at 6 p.m., regardless what that clock in the back of the room says. Otherwise, we may be getting ready to adjourn. Um, we'll start out with an invocation and thought. The room says.
We're good.
We're
Just
still
had to mute
good.
it.
Okay. We'll start out with an invocation and or thought, and then the leading of the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Dowpaz.
I will help with the invocation today. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this evening, and we're grateful to be here as residents and as a city council to talk about items that are happening in our city. We ask that we will be mindful to all of the data and facts that are presented to us, and that we'll be able to make decisions that are informed and are taking into account all of the different items that have been presented to us. We're grateful for our community, and we're grateful for the opportunity to live in this great nation. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone that's joining us online on Zoom and YouTube. Just like to give a notice that our cameras are not working, so it's only sound tonight, no picture. So we apologize, but we'll get it figured out. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I'll call for a conflict of interest. If anyone has anything they'd like to disclose, please say so now. Okay, not seeing anything. We'll go to the approval of July 7th and June 14th, 2026 meeting minutes. They've been distributed electronically. If anyone has any corrections, or if not, would be looking for a motion to approve those minutes.
Mayor, motion to approve July 7th and June 14th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Carney.
Excuse me, can you amend that? It's July 14th. I apologize for the misprint. Thank
Just
you.
reading the form. Okay, so July 7th and July 14th, 2026 meeting minutes.
All right, and Councilmember Carney, would you like to second that amended motion?
I would.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, this will be a roll call or a voice vote. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, so those minutes have been approved. Now we'll move on to our active agenda. This is the part for public comments. So this is your chance to come up to the microphone, state your name. And since we have no picture, make sure to state your name clearly and whether you're a resident of North Ogden. And the time is now yours, and let's keep our comments to 5 minutes or less. We do have a clock on this side that will count down. So if you get close, it will alarm. So just give you a heads up. Yep, you're welcome. So the time is now yours as the public. And if you're online, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you when it's your turn.
So I am Jana Thornock, and I'm a North Ogden resident. I emailed a letter to all of the city council, the mayor, and the planning commission about my concerns. I'm concerned about the ordinance number 4. We're talking about the ordinance 2026-22 zoning amendment. I went to the planning commission meeting not prepared because I was not sure exactly what it entailed. After hearing what it entailed, I went home and did a bunch of research on it, which validated a lot of my concerns at the time. I put those all in the letter. Since then, I've thought of a few more that I'm worried about. When we bought our lot 21 years ago, we were told at that time it was zoned to HP3. And my concern now is you're dropping it down to an HP2, which takes it from approximately 15 homes to 70-ish homes. That's not a minor change. That's a major change in land zoning, which up in those hills, I know I've lived in North Ogden my entire life. I've seen mudslides. I've seen 2 fires. So no matter what geographical they say, we never know, right? What's going to happen is going to happen. And my thing is, if this gets passed, who's responsible for that? I mean, as a homeowner, I'm concerned about all the neighborhoods below it. And also, another big concern is our water issue. We're so short on water now. And to go from 15, 20 houses to 70 houses is a lot. That's a big difference. We're already told we can't water very much, and there's a huge water shortage. So that bothers me too. And along with like slope stability, the river, all of those main concerns. But I just don't see what an HP2 benefits for anybody in North Ogden other than the developer. And those are just my concerns that I have. So thanks for your time.
I'm Brian Russell. I'm a resident of North Ogden, live across the street from the Thornocks. And I've read over Jana's letter. I've done a little bit of looking into it, but haven't done the research certainly that the Planning Commission would have done. And I realize that even some of what I might say, since I haven't heard the discussion yet, might be covered tonight, and that'll be fine. But my concerns start off with the water, both the culinary as well as the secondary. And I'm not sure where all those will be coming from and what kind of impact it'll have on the neighborhoods around this proposed development, ours being right underneath it, whether, particularly on the Pineview water, whether that'll come from a different reservoir and then will not affect the pressure that we have in our yards. All of our sprinklers have been designed with the pressure that we had initially. And if that were to change and we'd have to alter everything in our yard, that would cost thousands of dollars. And so I am concerned about that. Again, I realize that may be resolved in whatever reservoir the new secondary water will come from, will be what it is. But I can imagine that maybe some of those homes might be on the same reservoir that we're on. And the runoff changes, as Jana has mentioned, that's a concern, particularly for storm drain pressures. I was around in the 1991 flood, and the storm drains on midway down the hill were overflowing. Now that was I'm sure a once in a century storm, but we've had other big rainstorms, and whether the storm drains can handle those things. And if you get bubbling out of the existing drains down below, the houses don't have a chance to fight that. And it ends up being a disaster for those individual families that was at that time. The access to the road, both emergency access above as well as service access to get up to the little reservoir up there, to the power line or whatever the case may be. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of residents of North Ogden who hike those trails up there. And I'm wondering if they're going to be still accessible. I would love them to be. I personally hike up there and enjoy doing that. And that's one of the really nice things that Jana mentioned about our city and our neighborhood. And I hope that'll be maintained. And then plans that the developer might have. I've read and heard some things that these types of things are being considered and will be done. But I would think before that would be made, or you might approve to continue on, that those things become binding and that we make decisions according to those principles and issues that I've brought up, as well as Jana and maybe others will yet after me. Those are my hopes for you. And I'll listen intently to what that agenda says tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Jason Hurd. I'm a fellow North Ogden resident, and I know I'm kind of with Rob and the rest of them. I'm really concerned with what's happening in our North Ogden community. When we moved here, it was a nice, quiet place, and it's over the 25 years that I've lived here, it has like grown tenfold. And I work in the utility industry, so I kind of know what happens. And every year my property taxes go up and up and up. They never stop. And we keep saying, oh, we're generating new revenue for North Ogden. But what we're doing is we're taxing the utilities, we're taxing the power, we're taxing the sewer, we're taxing the water, both culinary and secondary. And at some point, we've got to put the brakes on and ask ourselves, at what cost does this cost us? Because ultimately, to upgrade, to support the kind of growth that we're growing with, we have to update and expand the utilities that are existing now that will no longer support the housing in the future for what our plans are. So I guess what my concerns are is let's take care of the people that are here before we start bringing in new people. That's kind of where that's why I live in North Ogden. I love North Ogden, but it's growing so fast. And when they turn around and tell me, hey, don't water your lawn, I'm going to let it die. And it's going to cost me $40,000 to have somebody tear it up and replace it. But I got no water to water it with. But hey, we just let 70 new residents move in and water their lawn. I mean, I should have rights as well as the new homeowners. And I guess that's kind of one of my concerns. And I just kind of wanted to, voice my opinion and concerns. Thank you.
No raised hands online. Okay. And just to give you a heads up as a public, so when we talk about these ordinances tonight, this is your only chance to comment ahead of time. Probably unlike planning commission, we're not having a public hearing, so after we start discussion, there's no more time to comment. So if anyone has anything else they'd like to say.
I think I had a minute and a half. I would recommend you don't approve until these things are resolved. Thanks.
State your name for the record, sir.
Yes, I'm Brian Russell Still, North Ogden resident.
All right, not seeing any additional comments. We'll move on to item number 4. This is ordinance 2026-22, a zoning map amendment for 1150 East, 3700 North. We're gonna have discussion and consideration of this ordinance to rezone the property located at 1150 East, 3700 North from split zoning of single-family residential R110 and single-family residential R1 12.5 and hillside protection zone HP3 to solely hillside protection HP2. And our presenter is going to be Ryan Nunn.
Thank
There
you.
you are. I was like,
Yeah,
for you.
it was recommended I should just sit down. Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. The zoning ordinance before us is for a map amendment to rezone this property. That's just at the top of 1050 East and Mountain Road. It's approximately 31 acres. Our current zoning map does show that it is split zoned. The majority of the north portion being in HP3 with on the south, there is an R112 and a half and an R110 zone included on this parcel. The applicant is looking to rezone the whole parcel to bring it all into the HP zone, but to bring it into the HP2, which would allow for a minimum of 12,500 square foot lots. The applicant has been very proactive. They attended 2 public or planning commission meetings, trying to discuss the development potential here. Through those discussions, the geotechnical studies that they've been doing were the primary focus on what to help kind of guide whether this rezone is appropriate. They've in the packet, there is the geotech letter from their engineer showing what the soil and the fault line and whether there's faults here. The planning commission through those two discussions ultimately agreed with our previous hillside protection study that was done, which doesn't prohibit development, but encourages well thought out development in our HP zones. Planning Commission did recommend to approve this rezone with a few conditions that they should consider the access to the neighboring properties, mitigating wildfire with buffering, preserving trails and drainage, and then preserving open space. There was a discussion of potentially clustering homes and then mimicking or preserving the transition of lot sizes to those larger HP3 zones to the north. Staff, having worked with the applicant, reviewing their documents, recommends that the council to consider this rezone as well. I'm happy to help answer any questions you have. And then we also have an applicant, and I believe their engineer is on the Zoom call.
Okay, does anyone have questions for Ryan? Yeah, go ahead, Councilmember Pulver.
So I guess the question is, comes down to going through the hillside protection, or excuse me, hillside development study that was made in 97, that I don't see anything in regards to Appendix C that goes through all of the maps. I look at the technical engineering thing, and being an engineer, I cringe on many different of these things. Just took one groundwater thing in June, which wasn't in the spring, and a word that I just horrific when you hear it in an engineering. It says cursory review. Initial findings does not appear. Preliminary, all these things just don't make me very, just scares me, to be perfectly honest. And I guess the question is, did we even look at any of the Appendix C maps and correlations to, and the fact that the preferred development master plan is scenario B, which restricts, if I can get it to come up, to either an acre or a half acre. I can't quite tell exactly where the line is drawn. It might be a mix between those two. So I guess the question is, have we even looked through that? And there's a whole bunch of stuff in these appendices that show that, hey, there's alluvial fans. They just did a look at going through and just researching the fact of what's in the holes. I don't disagree with, the fact that those holes provide certain type of dirt and other things, but to me, a cursory review of the geological survey, hazard maps, that doesn't give me any confidence whatsoever that anything due diligence has been done. So I don't think that this is something that we can approve without some due diligence, to be perfectly honest. So
If I understand your question, have we looked at the hillside protection study?
to any of the maps to overlay as to, and why we're going to deviate from the development B recommendation.
I'd say staff has, and we have encouraged the applicant planning commission, and I'd say we encourage the council to, yes, review that hillside protection in regards to making this rezone decision.
Okay, because there isn't any was-is, so I had to go generate a was-is between HP3 and HP2. So we're going from 2 acres to 0.29, and minimum lot width, good heavens, in half. Setbacks basically same as HP1. I just, and there's no generation of, to be honest, I haven't seen anything that restricts not doing whatever they want. So, if there's some kind of restriction that, you know, hey, we're not going to go helter skelter and we're going to basically have 3/4 lots for most of them, then sure, maybe. But, you know, I just don't see going from 2 to 0.29. That's basically taking a field down in the farmland from RE20 and making it an R4. So I just trying to figure out how this benefits the city at all. So on the side of a hill where there's fires and landslides and avalanches and et cetera, et cetera. So if there's any, I don't know if anybody can answer that, but
I mean, just it neighbors the HP2 zone. It's neighboring R110 on the south. Like, so there is an argument, I guess, that the applicant's making of there are similar uses. It's a similar use than what's in the area, you know, immediately adjacent. And I think the benefit for the city is keeping it in our hillside protection zone. That'll require after this rezone, that requires extensive geotechnical studies, even individually on the lots. So so I'd say there's that protection as well, that we will continue to receive those. It's not one geotech and done. It'll be, as they go out to engineer this project, the city will have that opportunity to review those.
yeah, I guess my point is that going from an HP3 to something less, to me, requires consideration from the developer to the city, and I haven't seen that. And, you know, to me, you're not going to be able to get a homeowner's insurance, my opinion, based on the fire that was literally right there. So I'm concerned about a lot of things, but that's just one of them. People talk about water, et cetera. But I guess the thing is that what protects, are they, you know, I didn't see anything related to debris collection areas. There's a whole bunch of different things, fire breaks, trail connections. I mean, there's a lot of different things that weren't proposed as something in the development plan. So I'm just kind of concerned that we're starting from square one to create something. So am I wrong? Sorry. I'll stop.
Now, my question would be the same, is what benefit to the city to allow 60 homes versus 15? Is there anything to the city from the developer? What has he offered to do for the city in exchange for this? Why are we considering putting that many homes in that area? Kind of the same thing.
I wonder if maybe it's just me. These might be good questions for the developer if you want to invite them up.
Any question? Yeah, go ahead.
Ryan, if you could, so the lot that's just north of this, is that the one that we recently heard from Geneva about? And we were asking for the trail to be moved to the outside of the whole entire property.
Yes.
Vaguely remembering this.
Okay.
And so this one, I thought at the time when Geneva was here and she said that they were going to move the trail to the outside because these trails are right through these two properties. And she said something about working with the neighboring property, I thought, so they could get those trails still there. So I'd be curious to know a couple of things. What are the average lot sizes in that north property? And do the trails work together on these two properties, which I guess I can ask in a minute, but.
Yeah, no, we've told the applicant that about that trail system going in on the north, and said that they should work together to connect it. And then I don't know the lot size. This is a concept plan.
Well,
for
of
rezone,
the
so I'm
property
not
north
sure.
of it that we just recently had from Geneva, does anybody
Oh,
remember?
So right now it's one lot.
It's a single lot.
So
it-
it's approximately 10 acres, that other
One
one,
lot.
for one lot,
They are making.
with the possibility that it could be zoned differently in the future. Well, it's actually, as it's zoned right now, you could fit many more homes on that property, but that property owner decided to keep it just one home for now.
Hmm. Okay.
Which is obviously a huge benefit to North Ogden for people that want to do that. Is the green section, that looks like a trail to me. Is that intended to be a trail?
Yes,
Because if If that's a trail, it goes through the middle of the neighborhood and it connects up to the neighboring property to the north, then I think they're
Well,
trying to
the-
meet the intention there.
The trail from the maps I'm looking at comes on right now, it comes on the south side, which on this map is on the very right. And so how does this trail get connected? Do you have to walk around the block or two to jump back on the trail? You see what I mean?
Yeah, I think
Well-
it's exactly that. It's
Yeah.
To maybe attempt that, the Mountain Road, the east side of Mountain Road is considered a trail. It's a 6-foot sidewalk. So as that continues, that'll connect. And then you are correct. On the north side, there's a single lot subdivision. North of that is another subdivision that's in the HP3 that are both working together to preserve trail. And we've expressed that to this applicant that trail connections should be preserved. And as pointed out by Councilmember Dalpas, they are showing some trail connection, and not just on a sidewalk, but through some open space.
And this is still just a concept plan, so as they start working with the other developer, the trails should line up.
I guess, I'm sorry, I keep, I'm not letting this go, but isn't there some kind of legal law that if a trail's been used for a decade, that it needs to remain? And so I just am concerned that these are clearly defined in Google Maps and in the people who have been going through them over and over and over again for the last decade. And now to just go on a sidewalk through a neighborhood, it feels like the trail is gone.
so the legal question is, does a sidewalk
Through a neighborhood
count as a trail?
Yeah.
I think that's what
I don't
you
know.
would need to know.
Legal counsel, do you have it?
This is the type of conversation to be having about the trail. When you're talking about these trails created by use, you are not guaranteed the existing path. Like
Okay.
Utah law allows you to move the trail to a more convenient, and oftentimes they end up being sidewalks. So the only time you have a guaranteed path is when it's an actual stated easement, not a road created by use under Utah law.
But I guess the thing is that the neighborhood needs to understand this is going to be a major thoroughfare for a lot of people, bikes, hiking, the whole 9 yards. So, I mean, I don't know how I wouldn't buy a house that has 95 people a day walking in front of my house.
Hopefully the people know that the trail does continue and that they can cut through the neighborhood to continue up the mountain.
Or they make their own, but yeah.
I don't know. I'm just uneasy about all that.
Any other questions for Ryan before we have the applicant come up?
Just, do we have a guesstimate on how many homes would fit on it as it's currently zoned? So it has that mixed zoning of R-1-12 or R-12.5 and then R-110 and then R3. If they were to just use the zoning as it currently stands, how many homes would they approximately be able to fit?
So HP3 allows for 2-acre lots. You're probably close to the 12 lots there. And then with the R1 12.5, I'm not sure the acreage in those two zones. But you could assume I'm not sure, to be honest. I've not considered that, but the change of zone does increase, definitely increases the number of lots that would be available.
And there's no level in between HP2 and HP3, right?
No.
Thank you.
Are we ready to hear from the applicant? All right, we'll ask the applicant to come up.
Hi, my name's Hunter Murray. I'm with the Holland Group. We're just based out of Kaysville. Would love to dive into detail and answer your questions. And I first, just before that, wanted to say that, we've had multiple meetings with North Ogden, whether that's simply with the city staff or our multiple meetings with the Planning Commission. I just want to express gratitude to how just how good it's been so far to work with North Ogden. I think that we've received a lot of direction. We've worked really hard to implement that direction. We will look forward to working with City Council on this project. And overall, it's just been a great experience, whether that be through staff or the Planning Commission. I just want to quickly echo a few things that Ryan has mentioned, whether that's through a staff report or through conversations at the Planning Commission is we're really excited about this project. I think a few things that this project does is it is following the general plan. And it, on top of that, has helped us eliminate the split zoning that Ryan mentioned earlier. All of those things are positive. All of those things are good. They're all following the general plan. However, I think people are valid for their questions that they've asked, whether that's regarding the geotech, whether that's regarding the water. And a lot of those questions or details we absolutely plan to address, and that oftentimes is done through the engineering. With that being said, I think, and I hope Bill's on here. I gave him the Zoom link. Bill, are you on the Zoom link? Hopefully we can get a response. We'll see.
Bill Black.
Yes. Okay, so I do have Bill Black from CMT, the head geologist who we've been working with. And so any questions regarding the geology that we've highlighted and also have received approval from engineering, I definitely would recommend I just probably pass those questions over to Bill and he'll be able to help answer those. Anyways, I think overall I'm here to answer your questions, talk a little bit more about the project, and talk a little bit more about what our goals are.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, this is Bill.
So Bill, I'll keep you on ice for a second, but
okay.
I'll call you in if we need you, but I appreciate it.
So the main question you probably heard tonight is the trail.
Yes.
How are you going to preserve them?
Absolutely. So the trails, there's two things. There's one, the spirit of the trails, which we absolutely hold as a priority and something that we absolutely want to maintain. The city code during the subdivision process does require that we preserve the trail connectivity when we go for this rezone approval. So to answer, and I apologize, I can't remember who asked that question, but the red lines that you see on our subdivision absolutely reflect the trails that we are preserving. Some of that is going to be a 6 to 7 foot wide sidewalk, whether that's on Mountain Road, whether that's through the community. We've wanted to extend that even further and take the trail system through the middle of our community, which is where you see the green space along with the red dotted line. The development to the north of us does have an easement trail access that would run on the backside of those 4 lots to the north. And for orientation speaking, the north is on the left. And so the thought with our trail connectivity, which really being the main spine of the Bonneville shoreline, was to run that trail system that you see in green that will then connect into our neighbors, which then ultimately runs the perimeter of their subdivision. So trail connectivity is absolutely a priority of ours and something that we 100% plan to implement during the subdivision design. And I want to echo, I believe the mayor stated this, this is a concept plan. So we definitely anticipate as we finish engineering, things of that sort, that there's going to be some changes here. But the trail connectivity and the core root of what we're accomplishing, we absolutely plan to remain the same.
So you've been in contact with the property owners to the north about connecting the trail together?
We have. So we've connected with them for a couple different reasons. One, we're working with them for the north access point there. We've also worked with them on the trail connectivity, and we're in contact with their engineering team as well. So there definitely has been a collaborative process to make sure that we've, implemented the connectivity the correct way.
Is this cul-de-sac on the bottom left turning into a road, or does that dead end there?
So the cul-de-sac is, will be essentially tapping into the cul-de-sac for our north access
But
point.
it doesn't continue on to the north, or does the road continue?
I believe it's a private lane, if I'm not mistaken, for that homeowner right now.
So there, that's where there will be a gate, is at the neck of that cul-de-sac.
Yes.
That goes to that 10-acre parcel.
Yeah. I understand it's a concept plan, just trying to get the idea of the access.
No, it's a great question because that all I think will remain the same just for access points. So
So I guess I don't see anything with fire buffer or debris flow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a major, we're not just talking, I mean, everybody looks at a map and like, oh, it's just flat. No, this is a hillside, literally a hillside. And this, I don't know. I still struggle with that. And there's no, if you look at all the Appendix C stuff, I mean, there's the technical service, the CMT technical report was, in my opinion, lacking when it came to what's literally been a historical site for many different things. And it just, it didn't get me any type of warm fuzzy that we're good. I mean, there was the study from 1997 had a crap ton more maps than is noted in the study. And I'm kind of confused as to why we didn't use these maps from and say what's updated and why we're good, because they're, you know, severe constraint, you know, that's what they have in some of the maps. And that's what we're talking about, severe constraint area.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, why are we even talking about major development?
So I think I've got two things I guess I can kind of work through there regarding fire debris, things of that sort. Part of our code that we're going to have to receive approval on is with the fire district, and we're going to have to meet and adhere to the wildland urban interface guidelines. Those guidelines are going to make sure that that subdivision is built and designed in a way to protect the hillside, to protect the community, and to build the most efficient design possible in order to alleviate and mitigate, I should say, the risk of the fires. And so the solution to the debris and the boundary borders, things of that sort, will all be mitigated through the wildland urban interface code that we'll have to adhere to.
But I guess I'm still struggling. The biggest thing is, what is the city gaining from reducing the zone? I mean, right now we have, you know, 2 acres, you can definitely have a defensible space. There's a lot of things that you can do with that large area in that area, but 0.3, no. I mean, you have with all the setbacks, your house is filling up your yard, especially in those areas where you're going to be, going to be a ginormous house. So I guess if my defensible area is going to be 20 feet, that's not defensible. So I guess my point is that we're just drilling ourselves into a corner, and we're going to be, you know, burning down houses just because we want to jam as many as we can in this one area. So I don't know. I struggle with the fact of what is the city gaining by providing a smaller zone. I don't see any benefit on this map at all. I don't see anything that gives us something, or we got more green space, or something's going to be, you know, a significant amount is going to be provided such that it makes sense. I mean, you might provide all of the things that the state law and ordinances require, but for the new zone. And that's the thing, is how do I say to the citizens that say, you know, what is the city gaining by reducing this zone? I mean, we got roasted for, you know, trying to change a farm just to any type of thing. And so this, I mean, but this is important because we're talking about a hillside that burned just last year. So convince me, I guess, is my point. So.
Yeah, I think that the pride that we take as a developer is we want to collaborate with the city. We want to be able to create a great win-win, and we want to be able to have the city also kind of hang their hat on a subdivision that they're proud of. And so right now we're showing quite a bit of open space. We're showing trail connectivity, and you know, there's a lot of functional benefits that I think we're providing to the city, whether that be fire hydrants higher up on the hill, whether that be fire access more attainable on the hill. There are absolutely those things. But then I think that there's another layer below that says, you know, is the open space adequate? Is the trail connectivity adequate? And I think that's where we're here to reiterate that we want to make a collaborative subdivision with the city. And trails has been the main focus from what we've received from staff as well as the Planning Commission. So it's been definitely a top priority of ours. With that being said, if there are other things that we can explore, I think we're open to those items.
If I could just also add to what Councilman Pulver's talking about, we have all this technical information, and it kind of boils down for me, common sense here. We have this area that is extremely vulnerable because of various things, and we're going from 15 potential houses to 71. That just does not make sense for me, common sense wise. And I know there's a lot of technical stuff going on here, but I've heard even from the audience, they're talking common sense issues that make sense to me as well. And you've heard a lot of their concerns. And I would have to say that I kind of echo that a little bit also. From 15 to 71 in this very vulnerable area. So.
Yeah. So I hear where you're coming from. I want to mention something on the 71. The 71 lots is a elementary math, just quickly looking at it to ensure what's the gross density possible for this piece. We have done multiple yield studies, and I can say in good faith that we've never been able to exceed anything further than 62. So I can assure that 71, if we're trying to meet setbacks, lot widths, things of that sort, 71 is not something that's achievable for this site. And then the other thing that I want to mention, which I hear you on, having these common sense concerns, whether that's water, whether that's fire standards, whatever the case may be. And that's where I want to echo that tonight, the conversation is focused on the rezone, and the engineering is where we'll be able to confirm that these concerns, whether they be water, whether they be fire, things of that nature, are able to get resolved. And if we're not able to resolve them, then we understand that that's not something that's possible for this subdivision. But we do believe that we can resolve those through the engineering process. And we're at a phase right now where we still just have some time to go. We just still have engineering, and engineering comes after the rezone
The decision before us today is the rezone though.
First, exactly.
So that's the concern, is allowing that. Well, and so I'll just comment. You said you're never going to get to 71. Well, why did you put 71 in there? That seems odd.
Well, the concept here does show 62 to their credit. So,
Materials I've seen.
71 is back of a napkin to say it could, in theory, fit this. So I don't think they're being.
Well,
I don't think
even
there's any.
71 or 62. That's still the common
It's
sense.
still very, very high.
the
Yeah.
common sense for me. Yeah.
I'm just trying to give them credit.
Yeah.
Because they're not saying.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be mean at all. I'm just trying to capture some of the comments that I'm hearing from other council members and also the audience, that this is a very vulnerable area.
Yeah.
And to rezone it before, to rezone it just seems out of sequence for me a little bit. And I know the dollars and cents behind that, but I guess it's just, again, echoing the vulnerability of this property.
I understand.
Yeah.
The rezone of this property is congruent with the general plan, as the staff has echoed in their staff report. The rezone of this piece also helps alleviate and remove an issue that a lot of cities run into, which is split zoning, where right now there are multiple zones on one piece. By approving a rezone to an HP2, what this allows is it allows it to conform with what's existing. So we've got HP2 to the west, we've got R10 and R12.5 to the south, and we've got HP3 to the north. And we view this parcel in this subdivision as a transition subdivision, something that is going to provide higher, larger lots that match and mold to what is existing right now to the west, and then excels a little bit in lower density from what is below. And so per the general plan, lower density is stated anywhere between 8 to 8,000 and above. And our lots, none of them will be less than 12,005. And so we do believe that right now we're showing that this parcel is a great transition subdivision into that higher hillside community. We've worked hard with city staff. We've worked hard prior to our planning commission meeting to make sure that we have as much of the details resolved as possible. And that's why we've got CMT, our head geological engineer, on the call right now to be able to reiterate from an independent third party that they have done the analysis that this specific parcel is able to hold this amount of doors. And so I asked that as we discuss the rezone, we can, I know it's hard to do, but separate sometimes the design or the in-depth engineering questions, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to get Pineview to sign off on the water, and we have to make sure that the pressure and things of that sort for the surrounding neighborhood is not affected. If it is affected, it's on us as a developer to upsize, to provide additional pumps, whatever that looks like from Dan Johnson at Pineview. He'll do a thorough investigation for the water and come back to me with a checklist of things that I need to provide in order to make sure that the homeowners around this community are not affected. And Tim and engineering will be doing the exact same thing with storm drain. And at the end of the day, we have to make sure that all of these boxes are checked in order for it to be a successful subdivision. Wildland urban interface code, we're going to have to meet every one of those details in order for the fire department to sign off on it in good faith. And so we definitely view this as there are multiple things that we still have to go get approved. And if we can't get those approved by the governing parties, we understand that this ultimately shows that the land is, unable to hold the rezone that we're requesting today. And so we're optimistic. We feel like we've had great conversations with Pineview, whether that be with Jeff or whether that be with Dan. We've had great conversations and received, written recommendation of approval from Tim, the engineer at North Ogden City. And we understand that there's still some question marks that we have to do, and that this site plan may even get tweaked a little bit, but we can ensure that during this rezone process, trail connectivity, open space, and proper engineering approvals will all be accomplished before any type of subdivision approval would ever be approved. And so that's, it's a chicken and the egg game.
Yeah.
And I fully understand being on your side of the table, how it's a balancing act. And I think for us, we're here to just reiterate that we understand there are still approvals that we'll have to go obtain. We've had the conversations with those governing parties and feel good that we can. But it does start with just this rezone conversation. And that's why we wanted to connect here, hear your thoughts, and have that, like I said, collaborative back and forth to understand what we would need to do for city council to feel good about this approval.
Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you. We'll have a little bit more discussion here before we decide what we're going to do. One thing that I was going to mention fire-wise, speaking as somebody that knows a little bit about fire, there's actually a plan in place that is going to have a fire break that goes from North Ogden all the way up through Pleasant View, and it's going to hopefully get started this year. The fire district's in conversations with all the property owners that it affects to cut this trail in. It'll be a 20-foot wide easement going through that'll be a big fire break, so it kind of prevents You can never prevent every type of wildfire, but it'll slow wildfires down and give fire department more access and more ability. So hopefully that's going to get started this year, and it's a big multi-year project. It'll take 5 to 10 years to get this done, but we've got the funding to do it, so it is happening.
Is that on city-owned land?
Nope. I don't think any of it's on city-owned land. It's all private properties land.
And who maintains it?
We got federal funding from
Where?
no, it's going to be this Division of Forestry, Fire and State Lands. So the FFSL.
Above or below the
It's a
power
lot of
lines?
it with the power line road. It's around the power line road. Yes.
Something that hasn't been talked about yet is I remember hearing a long time ago, but I can't remember the numbers. I remember staff telling us about how it's the Cove, which has very large lots. It's actually more expensive for the city to have the Cove there, in the sense that the frontage of the property doesn't, there's not as many fronts to the streets. And so so one argument to have more lots is that it actually is paying for itself a little bit more, the property taxes that are collected through it. I'm not saying that property taxes are going to be a lot. It's going to be probably a drop in the bucket, but I just have to say it because it's something that has to be considered. If I don't know if staff can give some ideas to that. I don't know if it's a massive difference between zoning or not, but I remember that being said. I don't with maintaining the roads and infrastructure. Or am I out in the dark?
No.
Am I remembering that wrong?
No, I think you're correct, and I'd say Scott or John would be a great one person to answer that. You know, they definitely consider those thoughts more than I do.
It's something we've talked about a lot, and road frontage has a big impact on long-term maintenance. So the ideal scenario would be a whole bunch of really narrow at the front lots that are really big with big, fancy, expensive houses on them, because that 20 feet of pipe is easy to maintain per house. When you get lots that are 200-300 feet, then you're maintaining a lot of pipe per house and plowing a lot of snow per house and things. And so it typically strictly looking at utilities, the stuff that pays for itself the most are typically the denser products. That being said, I mean, it's hard to say anything really pays for itself when you start looking at the fact that the city relies so heavily on sales tax to plow our roads and maintain our roads and things. So does that answer your question?
I mean, that's where I was going. I don't know that there's firm numbers to it, but it is confirmed that it's more difficult to maintain the roads on the larger parcel areas of the city. It's just a fact. I just need to bring it up. And I'm very intrigued by Councilman Pulver's comments because he's in a profession that I am not as an engineer. And so if he's reading the CMT report and has some concerns or has some questions, I think that's pretty valid. I'm not an engineer. So when I looked at the report, I just looked at the report like, okay, they checked a bunch of boxes and my average mind said, okay, but Councilman Pulver has a brilliant engineering mind that was able to discover some things. So thank you. Brilliant. Yes.
I just wonder about the insurance coverage that Councilman Pulver also talked about. I know living up on Mountain Road, when we had that fire on the mountain there about 5 years ago, they immediately placed my house in a California fire zone, and my insurance doubled, almost tripled. So I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what the insurance would be. Can you comment on that a little bit? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Insurance rates and approval go by zip code, and then once the zip code, how far they are up the road. There is a help me, a national
ISO,
Yeah.
insurance services, something.
that follows the
Mhm.
fire, national fire stuff. And if you're anywhere close to it, yeah, the rates are a lot more, and they're going to be a lot more going
Would
up and down.
could they even deny insurance coverage?
They can. You don't see that very often if it's
That's
a
just high.
yeah, if it's in a subdivision like this, if it's the HP2 or this, I mean this one or the HP3.
Mhm.
But if it's a lone house like up in the middle of the mountains, yeah, that most of the time will get denied
Yeah.
these days today.
Yeah.
Just the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of sticking to this defensible area thing. I know just looking at some of the videos from the South Weber one, yeah, I mean, it's probably a good idea. That person had, what was it, pickleball court and a pool, or their house would have been gone. So I'm just, I think, and I have basically 2.3s, so it's about 0.6, and I don't think that's defensible. So to me, and also with the slope consideration of what we're talking about, I can't see going below an acre for this area. And also, I would really think that if we even go forward, that it shouldn't be a sidewalk; it should be a fenced trail. That's if they want to provide something to the city, because right now I don't see anything that's provided to the city as a bonus, as a benefit for changing the zone. I would require a fenced trail that's not a sidewalk. It's maybe paved or something that is not on somebody's front yard. Just a thought, but since there's no consideration whatsoever for the city, I'm inclined not to even take anything. So, especially when there's no coordination whatsoever with the 1997 study, mentions nothing with any of the figures that are in there, which are very detailed, show that the one that they recommend shows an acre lot size for the area. So,
Yeah, I looked at that also. Who was it? Our staff that put that in the materials? You put it in, not the developer. You put it in, Ryan.
Yeah, that was a city
Yeah,
sponsored
yeah,
document.
yeah. Did you get a chance to look at that study that was done in
97.
97?
I have, yes. And that's where I wanted Bill on this call, is I wanted Bill as CMT's rep to be able to talk a little bit more in depth about the 97 study, as well as what his findings are today. Whether that's us being outside of the alluvial fan mapping that the state has provided, things of that sort. But Bill, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
Bill, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about the findings of this site. Let me give a little bit of background. So Bill's the head geologist at CMT, and he's very familiar with this location, this project, this site. And so, Bill, I just am hopeful that you could talk to the city council a little bit about their valid concerns about this site and what our studies have found, what our recent studies have found.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with the 1997 study that you guys are talking about. I haven't seen that, so I'm not sure what's in it, or who produced it, or for what purpose. All I know is from a debris flow standpoint, this particular property is further away from the mountain front, from especially the canyon mouths. It's in a portion of the alluvial fan that is older. This portion of the fan was mainly developed probably in the upper Pleistocene after Lake Bonneville retreated, when there was a lot of water that was around. Now, if you go further east and further north, then you get into more of the active parts of the fan. And those are going to be higher risk. For this particular property, if you were to get a large flow coming out of one of those canyons, about the only thing you're going to get here maybe is something from dewatering. And that's going to follow existing channels, whatever those channels are. I think there's one channel that flows across this property. Usually those are the kind of things that can be handled with civil engineering. And your site grading. So from a debris flow standpoint, really not much of a hazard here. And from the standpoint of a lot of the other hazards, the fault way to the east doesn't pose a risk here. There's really no steep slopes that would pose a stability issue. So there really isn't too many geologic hazards on this one.
I guess they're still struggling because, I mean, this study that they did in 97 was not just comprehensive. I would basically counsel it as almost the Bible. And I mean, but just looking at the, you know, no offense to the report, but it was, and I get it, it's preliminary, you know, and there's a lot of appears and cursory review and initial findings. And I get that there's stuff to come, but at the same time, I don't see anything that says, hey, I'm good for the rest of, you know, for something that is something that we're basically going from 2 acres to 0.25. I don't see it. There's so much information in that study, and it had not even haven't seen it. It just really concerns me. I mean, it's got severe constraints for in this area for landslide and avalanche constraint. I mean, it's just above the, I don't know. I can't express more that just looking at it scared the crap out of me. So not even looking at it and have even reading it yet and then saying that this is cool. We're good for, you know, slapping a bunch of houses on the side of the hill there. Anyway, I'll stop.
Would it be fair to, I want to be respectful of the developer's time and their effort. Would it be fair to Bill acknowledge that he hasn't looked at the 97 study? And so I think that's pretty important. And so would it be fair to table this discussion to another meeting and give him weeks potentially to study up on that? And then that way he could come back to us and present, you know, hey, I agree or I disagree with this 97 study and here are the reasons. That would seem pretty reasonable to me. But I guess it's slightly concerning that he hasn't heard of the study, but also at the same time, he's probably got a lot of different projects going on.
Yeah, and Andy Harris, who he's a North Ogden citizen actually, but Andy Harris was the one at CMT to review the 97 study. So if that's the route we need to go in order to maybe have Andy come talk a little bit more about it, I think those are things that we are happy to do. Absolutely.
I was going to say, I'm just reading the council, and I don't think you're going to get an approval tonight. So I think tabling might be the best option so we can get some questions addressed.
And I would also come back with consideration. I wouldn't just come back with nothing. So,
yeah. If we were going to table it, would you like to hear what they would like to know coming back?
Yeah, I think, again, I think we're very confident in what CMT will be able to provide from a geotech standpoint. I think we're very confident that we can iron out some of those engineering details. And so if I understand what the council's looking for in order to feel comfortable with this rezone, kind of come up with a checklist of things that I can go procure. Those are, and again, I want to echo that our goal with this project is to stay collaborative. And so if that's the route that is the best case, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
So checklist items for me, the potential that you help chip in for, so Mountain Road is going through a portion of your property, and usually North Ogden City covers some of that because it's a large road. And so I want to see if you guys have anything that you can offer to potentially fully finance that portion of Mountain Road.
Yeah, so
the city paid for the extra 20 feet of the road.
Okay, I was unaware of that. Is that in the staff report and I missed that? Okay.
So
what I'm referring to is any of these portions of Monroe, we usually have to bring money to the table to help finish that extra 20 feet of the road. Are we taking on any more financial responsibility by this portion of Mountain Road or not?
So this section of the road is part of that WACOG right-of-way acquisition. And so the city is putting 7 or 8% in on that, but the majority of the right-of-way is being purchased by WACOG.
Okay, I didn't realize this section was involved with that. So it sounds like another item that we were asking about is a trail, actual trail. And I think Councilman Pulver, how did you put it? Fenced? Or
I would say
mean
fence,
by
but
that?
not in somebody's front yard. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Just saying. I mean, I know that some other developers have just said, oh, just do, but this is a big one. This isn't just like you got 2 dogs a day go through it. I don't know. And you
On
had
top of the trail that's going through the green
So
space, you
we
want
do
another
have a trail in the
beside-
middle.
Yeah.
Right
Is
now.
that
So
connect-
all of that green space that you see, and then there's a red line in the middle of that green space that runs through the middle of that subdivision. All of that is a proposed trail that we would be providing and developing. That north access of that trail then connects into the neighbor's easement that runs east-west and then shoots up north. And we've been working with the landowner to the north and their engineer to make sure that we've got connectivity for our trail. So I just want to make sure that as we show that trail that runs through the middle, I guess I'm asking if that's an adequate trail in your eyes. I'm just trying to make sure.
I guess what confused me is there's the red and white dashes along the sidewalks there on the top.
Yeah.
And it has that little button that says, oversized 7-foot sidewalk for trail compatibility or connectability. And so I just took that as that's what your plan is for the trail. So I didn't as much absorb that middle section is an actual trail proposed.
It's still, the middle section doesn't connect to the south. It
Yeah,
connects to the
but
north, but not to the
I'm
sides or the
I'm
south.
trying to see where it will connect anywhere. Is that an impossible task? With Mountain Road going through there, where does it really? I don't know. I don't know the trails right there enough. I don't hike right there, but
So the thought with those trails was to kind of have twofold trail. One trail being kind of the modern day widened sidewalk like we've shown on Mountain Road as well as throughout the community. And then we've got the actual physical trail that runs through the middle of the subdivision. The thought between access from the south is to be able to have anyone park on the public road, get on the sidewalk, walk across, and then if they want to continue on the expanded sidewalk, great. If they want to go through the middle of the neighborhood, which is the open space and the more official trail, that they'll have that ability to as well. So I guess access from the south will come from standard sidewalk access.
And this might not be just you. It might be the fact that all of the other things that are going developed in this area, all I see is a hodgepodge right now. I can't see a clear understanding of what's being replaced and what's not being replaced. So some of this is not on you. Some of it could be a collaboration with all the developers. And I don't know if that's something that's staff's responsibility. Obviously it's not, but I don't see it, and I don't know how to see it without combining them all in my brain, which right now is not very.
And I want to quickly echo that right now, North Ogden City does have code in place for the trails. So 11-2617, trail development in a new subdivision shall be a required feature of new subdivision infrastructure. Where a subdivision includes or adjoins a planned public trail in the general plan or trails master plan, no subdivision shall be approved unless the platted area includes it. So I just want to reiterate that, one, we want to provide the trails, but two, North Ogden's done a great job with their code to ensure that the trail connectivity is a must in order to even get the project.
I love how the trail looks in the neighborhood park and coming out on the north side.
Thank
I
you.
think you could easily extend the trail, let's see, going down on this plot from
Lot
36, 13 and 2, just extend that green space and connect it to Mountain Road right there. And then the benefit of that is that it doesn't have to be paved. It's got the backyards in the back. It's
Yeah.
similar to our canal trail that we already have going through our city. And it feels more like a trail than just a large sidewalk. Again, this is just a concept plan and it may not follow this exact plan, but I think trail preservation is big to me, and
I think that's
flow.
great input. And I should know these numbers better, but you're saying the lot that's the wide expanded fanned lot, and then the two that are on top of each other, in between those.
Yeah.
Okay, we're saying the same thing. I actually think I had a iteration at one point that may reflect that. So we can accommodate things like that.
What's your
Absolutely.
thoughts on the, right now in the neighborhood park? Just, have you even thought that through at all? Thoughts on the neighborhood park?
We haven't yet. I mean, whether it's a playground, whether it's a nature style neighborhood park, whether it's a clubhouse with a pool, things of that sort. We don't have a clear direction yet on what that neighborhood park would look like. But again, I think we're here to talk about those items.
It would be great to hear if you were to come back, what that is going to look like. Is it going to have an actual playground on it? Is it going to have benches? Is it going to have trees? I know that this is just the concept plan.
Yeah.
But once we approve the rezone, we can't go back. So this is our way to ensure that if you are bringing amenities, that you might be able to get a downsize in the zoning.
Yeah, and we're on the same page. And so I think I know oftentimes in the general plan in the hillside protection zone, it reflected preserving the character of the hillside. And so our initial thought with the neighborhood park is to keep it open, maybe have some big rock features, things of that sort, versus like a traditional playground. Keep more of the natural side versus the playground. But I think we're open, and then we want to make sure that we're providing something to the city that
But you are talking a public park, because you said swimming pool and clubhouse. That would suggest more
HOA driven. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it just depends on what route we go, whether this is HOA governed or not. Yeah. And I that's a question. Every city's different on what they want when it comes to the open space. And so I guess that's a question I have for you is, as you guys look through this, is this a public that would you like it to remain public? Do you see this neighborhood being HOA? Those are great conversations to have.
I think the trail's got to stay public.
Trail for sure stays public. Absolutely.
Can I ask some questions to Ryan Nunn? I'm sorry to interrupt. So just to confirm, we can't divide this property and have a certain zone on one half and a different zone on another half. That's not allowed, right?
I think if they were interested in doing that, they could do that.
So,
But I think
Okay, it would be like a master plan community.
I think what staff's trying to show us is by consolidating the zones into one zone, that is kind of part of.
Yeah, that was my
That
next
is part of their
question.
goal in the general plan, is to get rid of split zones because they complicate our maps and the engineering. So
Unbuildable in this current state where it's a split zone.
Not unbuildable, but I'd say it's more difficult for the developer to subdivide when
Yeah.
there's several zones crossing.
It's
a
not
property.
practical, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the past, when we've done a master plan community, am I saying that right? We can give a restriction to how many units or what size lots?
Yes.
right?
With development agreements.
With a development
If you
agreement.
did a development agreement, you
Yeah.
could make
Because
that contract.
in my mind, I'm just thinking if we don't want it to be HP3 where they're all 2-acre lots, but we don't feel comfortable with the 12,000 feet lots, if we did some kind of development agreement, then we could say, listen, we don't want it to go more than 40 units, 40 properties, or 50 even. In my calculations, really quick, just here, sitting here, you could still get between 40 and 50 lots and have them about a half an acre and still have your neighborhood park with your trail. So, I mean, this was just a quick calculator, but I would feel more comfortable if they were bigger lots where it's such a steep slope and we just had that fire right there. I think these are going to be right up at the top of the mountain. So these are going to be expensive lots, bigger homes. So it might not be the type of neighborhood that needs a little tiny tot lot playground, because these are well-off families that are moving to the top of the mountain here. So maybe what those families at that price point are looking for is a little bit more space and not necessarily the playground, I guess.
So what we've done is this yield study concept plan that shows 62 lots. None of them are below 12.5. A handful of them are well above a half acre already. And so our plan with this is to keep the density at that 60 unit range and provide that clean transition from R10 to the south and meet what the Jordan Park subdivision currently is at HP2 and slowly transition this subdivision northward into HP3. And so we definitely want to provide these larger, bigger lots. And that's why we've tried really hard on the north to provide lots that all exceed a half acre. A good amount of the lots on the west and especially the east and especially the southeast are much larger than that 12.5. So we want to work with the city council, and we believe that this site plan has shown that we don't want to try to get just all 12.5s. We want to be able to have some of those larger lots to your point. I don't think we would be able to do 40 to 50. We would really want to stay close to where we're at right now. And we believe that we've shown larger lots throughout already through this that exceed much higher than the 12.5 that the HP2 has given.
I'm ready to discuss further as a council. Think we're good
Well,
to keep going.
Yeah, or do we have anything until we either table it or deny it or approve it?
Well, I think we're going to be talking as a council right now. If you want to take a seat,
Take some
yeah,
notes.
and we'll call you if we need you. Thank you. I think something that hasn't been discussed very much, and I'm feeling a little bit alone here because I'm the one that's not matching up with how everyone's talking here. The zoning to the south and the zoning to the east is quite applicable with what's being proposed here.
Zoning to the west. Yes.
So I'm not, yes, west, excuse me. So zoning to the west and zoning to the south is very close in size of lots. And so we haven't even really touched on that, and that was talked about in the staff report. So I don't want to just totally brush that under the rug. I understand that it is zoned as a higher HP3 right now, but we just haven't really had a discussion about the precedents that if you are an abutting zone, you try to match to what those are. And one could argue that it should match the zoning to the north. And so that's where you're talking a little bit more HP3. One could argue that it should be somewhere in between. But I did want to get some thoughts from others on, do you care about that? What are your thoughts? Because I came into the discussion tonight thinking that the amount of lots here looked reasonable because it looks like the subdivision to the south and to the west. I'm just saying out loud the way that I thought about it coming in. And then I guess what kind of spooked me is Councilman Pulver has some engineering pieces to it that looking at the report, he had some questions. So it just kind of threw me off. So what is everyone's thoughts about the surrounding zoning? Because that's a big consideration.
I see what you're saying, and I don't disagree. If this were a flat piece of property, perfect, right? So my nerves are just really more about the slope and how much you can utilize of that piece of property when it's on a slope. But I also have a question. Is the HP2 to the west about these same lot sizes? Because I was thinking, is it Nebo? I was thinking some of those lots are pretty big.
Well, some of those homeowners are buying 3 lots to make one.
Mm.
But they're all, the cove is zoned HP2, which is this lot size.
I mean, a quick little example, you can look at lot 23, 22, and 21, and you look at those lot widths between those 3.
Yeah.
They're matching up pretty close.
That's true.
That's just a small example. That other large lot is probably an area that has not been done yet, and the ponds there. So I would, if we're going to ask to postpone this to another meeting, I want it to come from someone else, because I wasn't too far off on this.
I think the biggest thing, and like you said, the spacing and yada yada, but once you start looking at how much you can actually put a house on, like look above, I'm talking to JD because he'll know this, above the Christensens, and you start going up the hill, and the way that they have to have these ginormous walls, and those aren't, when you talk about how much space that takes in between to get up there,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same slope. It's not like it's a gentle, I mean, I have a 40-foot drop from the top of mine to the bottom of mine, and that's just, a normal, not say normal road, but it's a pretty good, the top there. So with that in mind, I keep thinking about defensible space, because we have to start talking about that when we're up on the bench. It's not like we're down, next to Washington Boulevard and we're not really too worried about it except for the field next to you. This is important. I mean, this is something that's not controlled, and it's going to be something in the future. And it's just listening to all the stuff from the Utah State Legislature, they're going to be pushing this stuff. So, and like you said, without reviewing that 1997 study, there's a lot of information in there. So I just have a hard time thinking going below, as the further you go up into the side of the mountain, anything less than an acre. I mean, even 0.5 is kind of scary, but I definitely think we need a development agreement. I just don't know exactly what's going to be put in it, but right now there's no benefit to the city whatsoever. They have to put a trail in, so it's not like we're getting a trail because they're being nice. It has to be there. So
If we approve the zone tonight at HP2, they don't have to have a development agreement, right? They can just fit right in. So if we wanted a development agreement, we would have to deny tonight.
No, table.
Or table, right, yeah.
Speaking on defensible space, so the Wildland Urban Interface Code talks about defensible space, and it's 20 feet. And it's 20 feet around your house. So if you're on an acre lot, it would be 20 feet around your house, not 20 feet. And so your back 25 feet plus could be shrub oak. So that's still not, so to say we need defensible space, yeah, it's going to get addressed in the Urban Interface Code. So it will get addressed. Do we have any other discussion tonight, or?
Another discussion that I don't even know that this was covered very much, but the Planning Commission didn't unanimously recommend this, but they almost unanimously recommended this as it's shown to be rezoned. I don't think that they had this. Did they have this map? I can't remember. They did. Okay. So I think that's another thing that we just need to remember, that there has been a body that has recommended that we go in this direction.
Good point.
I do think Councilmember Pulvers made a good point that we do have a study from 97 and the new one with your engineers now. It'd be nice if we could, if they would compare and explain why your new study supersedes, or
We can do that.
yeah. And so that's, yeah, that is a valid point that needs to be addressed. Well, who would like to make a motion tonight? We have a motion for 2020 ordinance 2026-22, or we can either approve, deny, or table it. to a future date. And before I read all that, I'd like to know if somebody wants to make a motion one way or the other.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, what's your motion?
I'll make a motion to table this decision on ordinance 2026-22 until we have more information, more specifically on the study that you just referenced to.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Neighbor to table. Is that the correct terminology or is it postpone? Either or.
I think it's technically postponed. Tabled stays in the meeting. Postpone is a future meeting.
Okay. Will you correct our verbiage? Sorry, I led you on the wrong words.
Did I say postpone?
You said table, so let's
Okay.
postpone.
So I will change that word to postpone. Is that okay? Ryan?
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? If there's no second, then this motion is gonna die for lack of second. Okay, so this motion is one more time. All right, motion is gone.
Can I ask a question in this
Absolutely.
segment here between? So if we postponed and they came back with the study and they already said they had one employee who looked at the study and sounded like there weren't concerns. It wasn't the head geologist, but whatever they come back with after we've postponed it, I don't know how to word this, but this site plan, I don't feel comfortable with it because of the trail. So if they come back, they wouldn't have to come up with a different site plan. This isn't necessarily the right site plan or the
We're not voting on it. So that's.
right. So there's no way that we can have an influence on the trail no matter what we vote yes or no tonight.
There, if you do a development agreement, yes. But again, so when we're approving a zone, they haven't gone through engineering yet. So they
Right.
may go through engineering and decide we can't do the road this configuration because it doesn't fit. So if we say we want the trail in this location and it doesn't fit, then that still doesn't work. So we can give guidance on where we want the trail, but until it goes through engineering, and they're not going to pay for
Right.
engineering until they get the zone they need.
I just don't see, I wanted to postpone and vote to postpone so that we could get the trail better, but that wouldn't influence it anyway. Right? Unless we did development agreement, I guess. Okay.
I'm confused why I feel like I've explained myself enough to understand why I didn't second the motion, but I'm confused why we didn't have a second to the motion. Because Councilman Pulver, weren't you kind of heading in that direction? Or do you have do you want to propose something else? I'm just confused.
Well, if I propose something, you're not going to like it. But anyway, I mean, we'll just go down that route. I'll motion that we deny the zone change and then remain at HB3.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Pulver to deny the zone change.
Sorry.
And then we'll keep it at HP3. Do we have a second? Any second? All right, Councilmember Pulver's motion dies for lack of second. I don't want to get into a meeting where we have 50 motions again and neither.
Yeah,
is
and Ryan doesn't want to,
Yeah,
Ms. Santoro doesn't want to deal with that.
so we needed to figure out what are we going to do are we going to vote on this and approve something, deny something, or table?
So the vibe of this meeting, I'm just saying this, the vibe of this meeting is that we're not ready to vote and approve this as it is. And so it would be ridiculous that one of the two motions was not accepted that just happened. So if someone would like to please propose something that makes sense to vote on, please do so. But the only other thing I see to vote on is that we accept the zone change that has been proposed. And I think that's going to go wonky. So
Then they can do it.
so I just need, I need to understand why we got two motions that died, because I felt like we were semi-passionate towards those two.
Yeah, it's a good point. I probably should have voted to postpone. It's the trail that's got me hung up. And so that doesn't.
But they
not
can't
allowed
address
to-
it. Yeah, they're not going to fix it tonight.
Right.
So let's try another vote to postpone with a second, but neither of them are going to be me.
Can we have the developer address a question right now or no?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just coming up and I just want to reiterate that our goal for this development is to stay collaborative. And through that development agreement, making sure that the city council feels comfortable with the geotech report. Those are all things that we've absolutely planned on doing this entire time. And so when it comes to trail connectivity and providing it, I want to reiterate best I can that we are absolutely providing trail connectivity throughout this subdivision. That is a huge priority of ours. And if that means that we have to better reflect that through a development agreement or whatever that looks like after a table tonight, we're happy to, because that's already been our plan. So this trail system, open space, geotech concerns, all of these things, we're on the exact same page, I believe, as the city council, that those things need to be resolved from an engineering standpoint. And then they also need to feel like city council is excited about some of these things when it comes to the trail. And we're on the same page with that. There are natural things on this land, whether it's a dry creek bed, things of that sort, that we are going to have to design around in order and provide really nice trails because of that. So I can assure you that the design and the trails is something that we will and have planned on doing this entire time.
So you said you're open to a development agreement because that wasn't an initial ask.
Yeah, I still believe
Might
that
kill me for asking for a development agreement. Or Ryan.
we want to
Ryan
work
will.
we want to work with the city, and we understand that there are certain things that are of importance, whether that's, again, things I've mentioned, and we're on the same page. And so if it brings the city more more confidence than just us saying, here's our site plan, rezoned to HP2, and we're good to go. I think we've always wanted to work with the city and have a collaborative process. And so I think we could probably iron out like the 97 study. I feel very confident that we can show how updated state mapping and our exact site has resolved these this previous study, and I can have Andy discuss that a little bit more. We already have an agreement for Mountain Road and the funding in place for that. The trail connectivity to Mountain Road, Commissioner Watson, I think that's a great idea. And I think that's something, like, to your point about trail connectivity, we can accomplish those things. Open space, understanding, what would be involved in that open space. I think those are all conversations that we're happy to have and look forward to having.
And I don't think you actually need a development agreement to do all that.
All of that is code, and that's where
So that's what I was gonna say. If we get this postponed and you come back with all those questions being answered, you wouldn't need a development agreement.
I think the only thing that I saw that was a little bit was defining the open space a little bit more, and we would definitely be able to do that within a DA. Of course, we would prefer to stay just with the HP2 zone versus a DA, a development agreement. But we want city council to feel comfortable too with what they're approving, and I don't think that we're saying that we're not interested in that at all. Absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So
So I will make another motion.
okay, go for it.
Okay. So I make a motion, repeat to some extent, to postpone our discussion on ordinance 2026-22 for another meeting, and specifically looking at their results in examining the North Hillside Development Study issued by North Ogden City, January 1997.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Neighbor to postpone based on the engineering studies.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second by Councilmember Watson. Do we have any other discussion? And with these motions, they already addressed that they were going to address the trail connectivity. They'll address the open space, and all that other will be addressed as well. Okay, this will be a roll call vote. We're starting with Councilmember Neighbor. We'll work our way down. Councilmember Neighbor,
Yes.
Councilmember Dowpath,
No.
Councilmember Watson,
Yes.
Councilmember Pulver,
No.
Councilmember Carney.
No.
Okay, so that motion died for not being approved. Okay, so where are we at now? So now we're no longer postponing. So now we either have to approve or deny. Correct, John?
I mean, someone could postpone based on other conditions if they'd like,
Okay.
but yeah.
So those that voted no, Councilmember Carney, Pulver, and Dowpaz. I know where Councilmember Dowpaz is standing and Councilmember Pulver is standing.
Honestly, I think we keep talking around stuff, but to be perfectly honest, if they do all the things they're supposed to do, it's still, we're giving them 40 extra lots.
Right.
And we're not getting anything in return. And that's, sure, it might be great for the city that we get all these new houses and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's not something in this area that I believe is necessary. So if it's not necessary, then show us something spectacular. That's not spectacular. And it's not justifiable for the people that's surrounded either. It should be HP3. And if it's not, then anyway, it's tough. And I don't, everybody is allowed to develop their land they want to, but if they want to rezone it, then they got to come to the table with something. So that's my biggest thing. Also the fact that the 1997 study did not even looked at it. So, I mean, it
was looked at, it just wasn't addressed.
Well, it wasn't addressed, right. And I mean, just to defend what you have currently with lots of words that I would never use in an engineering report myself, especially for something that's being published to say as a defensible piece of paper, even though it's initial or preliminary, whatever you want to call it, I would never use those words. But moving on, I think the biggest thing is to address that. Nothing provided to city. So if I'll try a motion. Just let me go here. So I motion to postpone item 4, ordinance 2026-22 zoning map amendment to a future meeting with a understanding that the 1997 study will be reviewed and refuted if because certain areas have been shown to be severe and should not be small zoning. And also the fact that there needs to be consideration for the city to provide a smaller lot size for this area.
Okay, so we have a motion to postpone by Councilmember Pulver with all of that.
Sorry.
Yep, that's all right. That it's, you're addressing your concerns with the engineering and smaller lot sizes or larger lot sizes is what you're asking for. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second by Councilmember Neighbor. Any other discussion? Any other comments? All right, we're going to try voting again with Councilmember Neighbor.
Yes.
Councilmember Dowpaz.
No.
Councilmember Watson.
Yes.
Councilmember Pulver.
Yes.
And Councilmember Carney.
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes 4-1, so we're postponing till a future date. So you get to work with staff and we'll get it back to the council here shortly once you're ready. But thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item number 5. This is ordinance 2026-23, amending the city code 11-21. Discussion and consideration of ordinance 2026-23, amending city code to reduce setbacks from front and street side property lines. Presenters Ryan Nunn.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This zoning text amendment, it's kind of resulting from a recent site plan review that Planning Commission approved for the new Panda Express that'll be coming in. Part of their site plan approval, they have a dual drive-through, which our code does allow up to 2 drive-through menu boards. In their case, they recognized that they couldn't meet the setback for the one closest to the property line, to the public right-of-way. So they've applied for this zoning text amendment. Their original application totally removed any setback to a public right of way. It just included language that they shouldn't obstruct views or accesses or anything like that. Staff, speaking with them, has proposed that we just look at reducing the setback from front and street side yards from 30 feet to 20 feet. This was held at, this was presented to Planning Commission. They held a public hearing. The applicant finds that this is also acceptable for them, and staff recommends this to be approved. I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Okay, any questions for Ryan?
Is there any element of safety in regards to this, Ryan? Or is it just our standard protocol? Or is it, I mean, are we creating a safety situation here by reducing?
I would say no. I think we're maintaining safety by keeping a setback rather than removing one entirely. In my research, which I provided, I looked at several other cities' codes. Some, one was the same as ours. Other cities had greater, didn't show a setback to the property lines. The Logan City had the 20-foot setback, so that's what I based staff's report on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was the fact that, where is it on the property, and that it isn't in the sight line of anything. And then also, is it bright enough that it's going to light up the sky and, distract people from driving? And the answer is no. So that was kind of the two things that I remembered. So.
Any other questions for Ryan? If not, be looking for a motion to approve or deny ordinance 2026-23, which is amending North Ogden City Code 1121 to reduce setbacks from front and street side property lines as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Pulver. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Carney. Okay, any other discussion? All right. We're going to try to have better results. Councilmember Neighbor.
Yes.
Councilmember Dalpaz.
Yes, sir.
And Councilmember Watson.
Yes.
Councilmember Pulver.
Yes.
And Councilmember Carney.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes 5-0. Okay, moving on to council pillar assignments. We're going to have updates tonight. We'll start with public safety with Councilmember Carney.
So earlier this month, Sergeant Rob Rhodes was promoted to sergeant. I got to come and be a part of that. His family was here. I think half of Public Works was here. That was pretty cool. It's just neat to see how the employees support everyone, and it was a neat little ceremony that I got to see. So congrats to Sergeant Rhodes. A conditional job offer has been made to our new CSO candidate. If all goes well, the candidate should begin employment in 2 to 3 weeks. So we all like that. Code enforcement. We have 3 police officer positions open. We have multiple lateral police officer candidates in various stages of background investigations. Officer Bergstrom will be returning from military leave next month and will be back to his regular patrol assignment near the end of August. So to him, thank you for the extra service. Next week, North Ogden, Pleasant View, and Harrisville Police Departments will be conducting active shooter training as part of the Tri-City Response Team Development. That's the report from Public Safety.
All right, thank you. Economic Development, Councilmember Watson.
All right, so we've got from Nate Davis, the inspection schedule continues to fill up. There are many lots of new subdivisions, and if they get built and recorded, for someone to pull a permit, it can get really busy fast. And then from Mr. Hess, Jersey Mike's is scheduled to open tomorrow, the 29th, and their ribbon cutting ceremony is at 9:45 tomorrow. Sherwin-Williams is well underway. The Panda Express is a single suite, and that is still in the works, but it's probable that it will be Panda Express, and that is going to be adjacent to Cafe Rio and Pizza Hut. Looks like that's it from us, from economic development.
Thank you. And we're excited that Jersey Mike's
Yeah.
they finally got there. So tomorrow they're opening up. Okay, finance, council member neighbor.
Yes. I mentioned before ongoing support of the financial management team. I attend their monthly meetings. In those meetings, I provide professional background. I mentor the staff there. It turns out that's been pretty effective. Second item, an extension of the audit committee. We are now following a process flow chart to ensure that we coordinate with the external CPA firm that helps us prepare the statements, and also coordinate with a firm that actually is going to conduct the audit. And I'm going to share some goals with you here. So complete the audited financial statements by December 15th. So everybody remembers how late it was last year. So that's good. Item 2, present them to the audit committee meeting on December 17th. So they'll have a chance to look at those. Then we will present the audited financial statements to the city council at the December 22nd meeting. So then that provides us with an opportunity to look at those, review those, ask any questions. Then we will distribute those audited financial statements to the state auditor's office before December 31st, which is actually the deadline. And I think we're feeling very comfortable with that process. So I'll stay actively involved on that, helping them out too. The other thing I've done when I joined the council in January, I did an internal review, and I have prepared a report. John and I have reviewed the items there. He's taken care of those, so I wanted to just say there's closure on that. A few things that we changed, and that was a good process for me. So I need to have a process check on this. So we got an amazing email from Ryan on this, on the pillars. So she outlined very clearly what we should be doing. So my process check is I'm following those guidelines, and I'm looking for confirmation to do that. So I've been working on getting my metrics together now.
Yes.
Okay.
Ryan took that on and has done a great job.
Yep. So
Great
very,
email.
very clear. So thank you for that. And so the process for that, so she asked for us to share the metrics, but what is our process? Identify the metrics we're going to look at.
We're still coming up with it. So if you got something good, let us know.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. I think that's the process though, is like I said in the email, it has to be something meaningful.
Yes.
That we're trying to, like you said, the goals,
Yeah.
those are kind of simple, but I mean, if there's more esoteric goals, what metrics are we following
Yeah.
that we know that we're getting towards the goal or finishing or
Yeah, absolutely.
achieving the goal?
So do we prepare a draft? We share them with Ryan, and then the full group looks at our lists
Probably November. Yeah.
in November? Is that what we're shooting?
Well, that's
for?
when we normally
Oh,
go
okay.
over stuff, but yeah, we can do it sooner.
Okay.
Sooner the better, right?
Okay.
Yeah, if you get your proposal, you can send it out to us
Okay.
ahead of time, and then you can lead the way because none of us have our proposals put
Okay.
together.
Well,
I sort of did, but
I've kind of started
That was a
mine
while ago.
a little
Working
bit. So,
towards it,
okay. So my
That's
goal
done.
is to have my metrics to Ryan by end of September. Is that a good goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but is staff helping with the metrics too? Because I might not think of everything.
Confused too, Christina. So my question with the metrics is, what metrics do you want to see with your pillar?
Measured.
In this whole discussion, Chris Pulver sent me an email reminding me I had sent suggestions for metrics, right? And so we can use those, or maybe there's something else, like for example, with Pulver and Dalpaz's community. Maybe they want to see how many volunteers we've got for cherry days.
Yeah.
What numbers do you want staff to provide to you so that you can give it
Yeah.
to the people at the
And that's why I threw out that Riverdale one just as an
Oh, yeah.
example.
It was
of
good. It was good.
Just so me personally, I'm going to look at other cities to see what else they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because maybe there's something simple and easy so that I'm not trying to figure out what I want. Ooh, there's something nice, you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
a silver. Anyway,
Yeah. I also like Ryan sharing that, you know, for me, being fairly new and with my financial background, I still see some soft points in policies that we don't have. So I would say, even though that's not really, I think that's something I'm going to put on my sheet. And then by the end of the process, if we've done it or not, that probably is measuring the metric, I guess.
yeah. And if you want to add yourself as the eternal auditor of the city, you can do that too.
And I can be on that risk
If there's
management.
something that's strong to anyone about a metric, even if it's not in your pillar, I hope that you would submit that as well, because
Okay.
I may not be thinking of everything that you're thinking of in my pillar, right?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. And I think staff too, you know, like you guys, a lot of you were citizens that attended meetings and that's how you guys decided you wanted to run. So you guys have this perspective that some of us staff don't have. Or maybe you're getting emails from residents with questions that you often see. You guys are the first front, you know, stop to the city with these questions. And so you know what everybody wants to see and we're just asking. So we're not wasting our time on numbers you don't need or the citizens don't see. We want to give what's needed and what wants to be viewed.
Yeah. That was a very good email, by the way, again. That provided insight for me, at least, in trying to interpret what I should be doing. So thank you again. Yeah. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
And
thank
she did school me on the Monday.com that you have to scroll right to get to the notes. I don't know if anybody else knows that. Anyway.
I brought my little tablet to the city and got like specific instruction on how to do it because
it.
I
Did
did
it.
not know what I was doing. So
Okay, we'll move on to public comments. This is your chance as public to come up and leave your final comments to us tonight. If you're online, raise your hand and we will get you approval to speak. But come up to the microphone, state your name, whether you're a resident in North Ogden, and keep your comments to 5 minutes or less.
Brent Call, resident of North Ogden. Seems like I can't come to one of these meetings without getting up and making a comment. First comment, your item number 4 on your agenda that you guys addressed. I enjoyed the discussion. I was online for most of it, snuck in. I was actually driving home and I thought, I got to go to the meeting. But it raises some, I guess, larger concerns for me that I've expressed in the past. And when this was before the Planning Commission, before they actually opened the public comments, it was, I believe, in a working meeting to begin with. And I stood up at the end of that meeting and I said, there better be some very compelling evidence to discount that 95, 97 study, whatever it was, to change that. And it appears that those comments were discounted or ignored. And so I appreciate the council taking that position and addressing that. So thank you for that. There's been like 4 or 5 different rezoning proposals that have come before the Planning Commission and the council. And in every one of those, well, maybe not every one, but almost all of them, the council's decision has varied from the Planning Commission. I'm becoming a little disillusioned with the Planning Commission, to be honest with you. It doesn't seem like they're listening to a lot of what the citizens are concerned about and what our comments are. I really appreciate the council taking that position and paying a little bit more attention to what the citizens are concerned about. I'm on a discussion group. That's a private group, and many of the people on that group are very vocal at the council meetings. So you can probably guess who a lot of them are, but the feeling within that group is much the same. So anyway, some concerns about that. The staff reports as well have concerned me a little bit on all of these different properties. Just about every one of them has said that it fits the general plan or it follows the general plan. And I've been, again, very vocal about the general plan that, and this one tonight, same thing. Well, we feel like it follows the general plan. Changing from an HP3 to an HP2 based on studies that have been done in the past, I don't see that as being consistent with the general plan. So anyway, again, thank you to the council for your attention, for your consideration and careful consideration of these matters, and appreciate what you guys have done.
Thank you, Brent.
Thanks.
Hi, my name's Tammy Jo Esplin. I'm a citizen of North Ogden, and I have a couple concerns on why you guys can tell me I can and cannot have a yard sale, why I cannot have a tent up in my yard, whether it's in the front yard or the backyard. I have adequate parking. I don't go into the neighbors' yards, and I want to know why you guys have the authority to tell me I can't have a yard sale.
So during public comments, we don't usually have back and forth. So, but if you leave your concerns, then we will discuss them at the end. But we don't want to be in a back and forth during public comments, if that makes sense.
Okay.
People in the office told us to come.
Yeah.
To say something.
So we've been doing it for 3 years. I've been doing yard sales for 35 years, but I've been doing this. I've lived here for 3 years. And this is our 3rd year. We have neighborhood people that look forward to our yard sales. We have people that drop stuff off for us to sell that are moving and don't want to just go throw it in the landfill, stuff like that. So it's just shocking that you guys can tell me that. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it. Just all of a sudden after 3 years, like what have I done that has offended the city?
So
It's very clean. It's very organized.
This is the first that the council is hearing about this, so we were not aware of the situation.
We were
So-
told it was brought
so
up at the last meeting and we had an officer coming into our house to cite us.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is I was not aware and I don't believe that the other city council members were aware. So it's great that you've made us aware of it so we can go back to staff, ask for the details and try to figure out if there's something that we can do to address the issue that you're bringing up. Because we're just receiving this information on the spot. I don't know any of the details. So I'm not trying to just offload it, but we appreciate the concern and we can.
Well, as of right now, they've only given me until August 2nd. That was an extension to remove everything off my property.
And we can't even put it on the side of our house.
I can't do it that fast. I have a business to run. I have to work. I'm 55 plus, all 3 of us that live in the house. I can't sit out in the sun when it's 95 to 100 degrees all day.
We all got
I
pictures
asked to
from outside.
organize my garage and leave my tent up and they said no. And I don't get it. So I don't know if you guys want me to come back in and ask for another extension until you guys discuss this, because I can't have it done by August 2nd. I can't. I mean, I could sit out there all day and
After public comments, we'll get more from our city attorney and from our police chief, but we don't do that during public comments. So that's the next item,
That's
is
the next
mayor,
item.
council and staff comments. So we can discuss it at that point. But during public comments, we don't have a back and forth.
so why would they tell us to come here and discuss it with you
To
guys?
share your complaint or your,
Our concern?
yes.
After you sit down, ma'am, we have another agenda item where they will ask the staff about this. Staff will have a time to address and tell them why you were ticketed or whatever, and they will have a discussion at that point. Does that make sense? If you guys want to sit down, they'll carry on the conversation with staff and your issue will be addressed.
Looks like Julie Anderson's online.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Julie Anderson, North Ogden resident. Um, so I haven't been attending a lot of the meetings lately due to my own personal things that are going on in my life, but for some reason this one caught my attention. First of all, the zoning map amendments. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be as polite as I can here, but please don't give in to these developers. We have done that so many times. Look at Patriots Point, look at Prominence Point, all of those, the Village of Prominence Point, excuse me, all of those have not ended up the way that the map started. And we are now saying, hey, let's just build 62 homes possibly way up in our mountain area. We have had floods coming out of those canyons. You can see them. There's avalanches that happen. So I'm really grateful for the fact that you took the time to keep going over it until you decided to postpone it and get some things. I think everything, they should have all their ducks in a row. They should have Pineview approval, everything, before anything is even discussed. So I just want to kind of share that. My other thing was these council priority pillars. As the chair of the Northview Senior Center, I would like to know how you consider the city center part of your focus, the senior center, excuse me, part of your focus. We have requested repairs. We have requested things to be done, and they are not getting done. And when we're told, it's like, oh, well, that's not our focus right now. So I have a real concern over the fact that we have this thriving. I think each one of you should go over there during the day and see. We have a thriving center. We have Thursday night activities where we average anywhere between 50 and 60 people who come and attend it. And these are people who are still working. And yet we get no response from the city or any help from the city. And we as a board are trying very hard to update the inside, but it's the repair work that isn't being done. It's the maintenance that isn't being done. You decided to put a punch lock on our kitchen door for people to come in when they rent it. You've got people walking through a kitchen area. How is that hygienic? It's not. And these are just some of the concerns that I have and are being expressed, is that we're renting it out, but I don't think it's being cleaned very good. We saw that with the previous carpets that have now been replaced, which from the city, which we appreciate. But there are so many things that are not being taken care of. These are senior citizens. They don't live there. This is their place where they connect and they communicate with people. And we are getting no support from the city. And JD, I'm going to call you out on it because you have not attended any of our meetings this year. So I'm putting a challenge out for you to please attend, because in those meetings, we now discuss the important things that we're doing. It's an hour meeting, and it's very important that we have the city there. So I'm putting out the challenge to you, JD, to please attend our meetings if you can. Our next one is September the 15th. Mark your calendar. So thank you, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, not seeing any public comments. We'll move on to mayor, council, staff comments. Before we go around and ask about the yard sale, John or Chief, do you want to address that tonight, or do you need to come back with more information? Yep. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, John. The city has ordinances that are on the books for keeping the appearance of the city in good shape. The yard sale with the tent and everything on your yard violates those ordinances. So code enforcement approached you and told you that you had 10 days. We gave you more than 10 days. And now it looks like she's being very, very thoughtful, and she's going to give you an extension. It went up in 1 day. So the city expects under the code that it comes, the whole thing went up in, okay, sure, it built up, we gave you 10. So you have now 13 or 14, if not more, to take those things down. The ordinances have been passed by the city council and they're enforced by the police department under the authority of the code enforcement. So we've given you an opportunity to take it down, and now we're going to extend that so that you can take it down and you won't be in violation. If you don't take it down, then you'll be cited. And then it just builds up from there. The citations become more expensive and it becomes a battle for no reason. You mentioned that you're a businesswoman, and I can appreciate that. All of the businesses in North Ogden, check out the city code first to make sure that they're in compliance with the code. It would be no different with your house. You can't do it.
Intense like that to park the cars under. Why is that?
Because they got permits for it.
So certain people get permits.
Well, it depends on what type of cover it is. But the,
Same as what, yeah.
okay, did you get a permit?
Did they get it?
Yeah, or else they wouldn't have built it. That's why we're approaching you, to let you know that you violated the city ordinance. It's the process that the city has. You were probably within reason. No, people have yard sales all the time. It's the amount of stuff that you have and whether or not we get complaints from your neighbors, which occurred. We got complaints from multiple people.
Donated everything to the orange church, and the Relief Society ladies could not sell it where they were at because they had no parking. So we brought everything to the parking and sell it or the mortar church.
Sure.
We give them.
And I can appreciate that, and that's all good, and it's awesome that you guys contribute that money to whomever you decide to contribute it to, but it can't be in violation of city ordinance. And usually that's pushed by people who complain about what they see, what they consider blight, what they consider a mess in the front yard. It's all perception, but it still violates ordinances. So we're trying to give you the most time we can. We're extending that time out for you, and we would just ask that you would clean that up. Yard sales are great, but within reason. Most people have a yard sale, it's for a day. What's that? No, I haven't seen one like that since I've lived here.
I'm sorry, guys, the recording can't pick you up in the back. If we could refrain from the
Sure,
back and
sorry.
forth for the meeting minutes and the record.
Anyway, we're trying to keep up with code enforcement, and this was one of the properties that is on our list for code enforcement. And so we'll go through the process and hopefully it gets cleaned up. And
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this a yard sale like people have a yard sale on Saturday from 7 to 12? Or is this a business? Do we have a business license with a business location?
We're investigating that still.
Okay.
So we're giving time for you to get all those things in order. You can't have a business in your yard like that without permits. And so we would just ask that you follow the code. And the code's listed on our website. You can go through each one, and there's multiple ones there that have been violated, but we're just focusing on getting the yard cleaned up right now. In the backyard? I'd have to look at the code. I don't have the code in front of me to. You have a what?
So as long as you're following the city ordinances, I think it would be just fine that you operate your business. We just need to make sure there's compliance there, the business license.
Most of the times for these at-home businesses, you're submitting a site plan, and that's going to go to our planning department, and you will specify what you are doing, and then they will help you make sure you're following the city code. But just to put something up and then question why we're allowing or we're not allowing you to do something because it doesn't fit city code, that's why we have processes in place. So you need to be following the processes. You can work with our city staff to get in compliance, and then you'll be fine. But you just need to work with staff, whether that's the police and planning commission and city, the building department and licensing, everything. It's all needs to be addressed.
And we're all happy to work with you to try to get that addressed.
Thank you for your time.
Other staff. Ryan, do you have anything else? Dave? Scott? Tim? No? Chief, do you have anything else? John?
Yeah, just there will be in August a site visit up on the North Bench to talk about a potential request that's coming to the council and planning commission in the next couple of months for kind of master planning the hillside. So we'll send you out more details, but just if you mark it on your calendars, it's an off week on the 18th of August. And because of that, we're trying to not do a work session next week so that you don't have the extra meeting. So you don't have 4 in a month. But I know Chris really wants 4. So, but just mark that down and we'll do some additional details. And with those site visits, public's invited, planning commission will come. And the idea is that there'll be some information the landowner can present to us about what their thoughts are.
What properties does this include, or what area?
Everything on Long Bench. So there's about 500 acres up there that
6
they want to
o'clock?
talk about.
6 o'clock? Or?
It'll probably be around 6,
Okay.
but we'll likely meet lower on the hill and then use some city trucks or other vehicles to get up to the viewpoints and the discussion areas. We don't have all the details, just wanted to let you know to kind of think about it if you'd like to participate.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, John?
Just support the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yes.
Get a Jersey Mike sub this week because Jersey Mike subs are amazing.
They are.
I recommend the Chicken Big Kahuna.
Okay, thank you. Council, do we have anything, Christine or Councilmember Watson? Sorry.
So, yeah, the pillars that have been, the new pillars that are this year, as far as I know, we all have different liaison assignments than we've ever had before. So I'm not sure if the senior center it fits under one of those pillars, but as far as I know, no one is directly a liaison to that anymore. Is that right?
I
Yeah,
don't think that's
Councilmember
right.
Dowd-Paz is on
I
the
would
list.
say I'm the liaison
Still
for
okay.
the senior center.
Okay.
And it would probably make sense that it's under the community pillar, so there's no reason I couldn't provide updates in the community pillar section.
And if you need to tag team that, let me know. The senior center thing.
Yeah. I mean, full transparency, one of the meetings just completely forgot. But I have attended a meeting this year. I swear to it, Julie. But I will be better.
But speaking of the senior center, our staff does, they do monitor the senior center and they do have a maintenance schedule to get everything completed. It may not always be on the senior center's time, but it's the same with every other building. Every facility has needs. So we're trying to get to them as quick and as much as we can within our reasonable budget, but we may not get them this year, but we are addressing them. We're trying to.
And I am tracking the notifications, emails, and communications from Gordon Robson when he is asking for status on maintenance and things. I just have to work through staff to see what the status is on each of those, and they have been helpful when I reach out to them. So I'll have to dig back his last email and make sure that I'm not missing anything.
Hey, yeah, Councilmember Carney.
I've got a couple things. One, I think is kind of fun. I've had 2 different people reach out to me this week, giving compliments to our police department. So the first one is one of our mail carriers that found a weapon in a gutter and stopped and called the police department, and they responded. He said very fast, very professional. He just wanted me to give a shout out to them. The next one, someone reached out to me. They inadvertently got pulled over just for a tail light the other night. Officer Semstrot, I know I butcher his name every time. And Sergeant Griggs ended up, he had a couple warrants and was arrested, but wanted to let me know how nice the officers were and how they handled him. And I just want to give a shout out to our police department. I think they are phenomenal and very community service oriented. And then I had one other person reach out to me with a concern on where the mail drop off in the city parking lot right here, they were moved or something during the remodel when this building was built, and they're hard to get into if there's people parked in the stalls. So I drove in there, and I don't know if that's been brought to any attention or.
They've always been hard if people park in the stalls, but it's hard. Yeah.
I don't think they've moved. They've always been there.
I thought so, but I didn't know.
The unique thing is they're on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Which they've always been on the wrong side. But yeah, we've looked at it. I don't know if there's a better way to strike the parking lot without losing like 3 or 4 stalls.
Yeah, I just told them I'd bring it to our attention. And anyway, shout out to NOPD.
We should also talk a little bit about the aquatic center recognition too. I mean, that was pretty amazing, John.
Yeah. We just had a American Red Cross auditor who was there with their family. So they weren't there officially, but they took the time to grab Justin and say how impressed they were, for those who didn't see the email. I mean, you all saw the email. For the members of the public.
Speaking of the aquatic center, isn't there an event coming up where you float in a cardboard box?
Benny's boat race is coming up in August.
I know it's in August.
12th or 13th. We'll send you the details. It's in the evening so we can get more residents to participate. But if the council wants to put a boat together, we will find you some cardboard and duct tape to do so.
Great.
They're guaranteed to float.
I already rode on a float. I don't need any more.
Twice.
You could even have your kids paddle if you'd like.
My kid.
But it is a fun time, even just to come and watch. It's a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Yeah, Councilmember Pulver.
Just a shout out to Councilmember Neighbor for audit stuff. Just appreciate all of the help and assistance and arm wrestling, I guess, with ex parte. What is it? The former mayor.
Emeritus.
So Emeritus, there it is. That is you almost need 2 arms for that, but I hope he's listening. Anyway, so I just appreciate that. And then also for amphitheater volume during practice. And I think we think we fixed that, but it's one of those things that just standing there, I was shocked at how loud it was when it was just a practice. And you're like, if it was a performance, I understand. And, I think so as long as we kind of figure that out, and I know someone's supposed to be there at the same time. It's kind of like, I didn't know who to contact. And that was kind of a arm wrestling thing. But anyways, we figured it out. But I think as long as we don't have it like at 11 or something. So that was it.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, Councilmember Dalpaz.
I wanted to thank staff for preparing the staff report for tonight's rezone request. I do feel like it was thorough, and I feel like there were some great recommendations in it. So I don't want to make it feel like you guys have been shortchanged and we weren't looking and listening to the information. So I do wish Ryan Nunn was here. So Scott, if you can, is he still?
No, he's not here. I want to say the same thing too.
So if Scott, can you please just express to Ryan, thanks for presenting tonight. And I just double check with him that he's good, because we didn't want it to make it seem like we were disregarding anything that he was saying. I hope it didn't feel that way. So thank you.
Yeah, hopefully he just didn't leave because they had to go punch a wall or something. But yeah.
Okay. We are now going to go close our public meeting, and we're going to recess into a closed meeting permitted under Utah Code annotated that 52-4-2051B. A strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of a water right or water shares. Do I need to read all this, Ryan? We're going into a closed meeting to discuss real estate.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion
Second.
by Councilmember Pulver, second by Councilmember Dalpez. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.